All right, we'll call this meeting to order. It's 6 p.m. on January 21st. This is a regular scheduled select board meeting with the community center and on Zoom. Can everybody hear us out there? All right, I see heads nodding. If you've only put your first name on your Zoom ID, could you in the chat please put your full name so we can add that to the minutes for the meeting tonight? We would appreciate it. First thing on the agenda, we're going to review and approve the minutes of the previous meeting, which was a regularly scheduled meeting on January 7th of 2026.
I move we approve it.
All right, motion to approve. Second. Any discussion on them?
We should add Roger's made a statement that he read. Those should be added to the minutes. I thought that I had sent that around, but it didn't get posted.
Yep. Want to hold off until next meeting? We'll get those? Or do you want to sign them and then alter them?
We can still sign the minutes.
Yep.
I'm just saying that his statement should be also posted along with the minutes.
All right, well, I'll get that from him. I have to give you a summary of it, if that's right. Does that work with you? Just a summary of what he said?
Yeah.
Okay. We'll add it for
And then do
posting.
you want to add that into the minutes rather than posting his statement?
No, we'll just post it separate. So he has a statement. Yeah, let's just post a statement with the minutes.
Okay, yeah, right.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so all those in favor of approving the minutes from January 7th, say aye.
Aye.
Wait for a second, I'm just writing down people that are online. So we have a record. I think it's still working right. All right, next is approval warrants. We have 3 of them. Warrant 15, which is general expenses, warrant 15P, which is payroll, and Conservation Commission 10.
I move we approve them. I didn't see any issues with them.
So we need a motion. You want to do a motion?
I move that we approve the 3.
Yep, 15, 15P, and CC 10. All right. Second. Any discussion on those? Warrant 15P is payroll, which is about $13,200, which is pretty much the normal amount. Warrant 15 was $29,500. There's some salt purchases in there and some repairs and welding to one of the town vehicles. And Conservation Commission 10 was a $50 membership in a conservation organization. So all those in favor of approving warrants 15, 15P, and CC 10, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. And all those against? Paul, did you vote yes? Okay, you're muted. So that's Paul did vote yes. All right, so we'll set this up here. If you want to rotate your chairs, we can have a little presentation from Vertex-Towers. So Mr. Fran Parisi's here to talk and give a little background on the cell phone tower and the planning on it. So over on 30 at the old Maple Valley area. And for those here on Zoom, it'll come up in a minute. You'll be able to see the presentation.
Can the folks on Zoom see my presentation?
Yep. Can you see them on Zoom? Okay.
Folks are here.
Do you want a light off or anything?
It should be bright enough. I tried it.
I thought we had a soundtrack.
Some music to go with.
Yeah.
While this warms up, good evening. My name is Francis Parisi. I represent a company called Vertex-Towers. I've been accused of being soft-spoken, so if anyone can't hear me, just raise your hand and I'll certainly try to speak louder. We are here tonight at the request of the Board of Selectmen to give a brief overview of the proposal that we have to build a telecommunications facility at 3219 West River Road, Dummerston. The Sugar Mountain property behind the old ski hill, I think at the top of the ski hill. To explain the process a little bit, These facilities are very heavily heavily regulated by the State Public Utilities Commission. The process is that we first file what's called a 60-day notice with the town and the Public Utilities Commission of our intent to file an application, which we have done, and in response, the town has asked me to come here tonight and explain the application. After 60 days, we filed that back in October. The 60 days ran right around Christmas time, but we have not filed a formal application yet. We intend on filing it sometime around the end of the month. That process is governed by the Public Utilities Commission. When we file the application, the town will get notice. All the abutters who got notice of the 60-day notice will also get notice of the application. The town will have an opportunity to comment on that, ask questions. There are a variety of state agencies, the Agency of Natural Resources, the Department of Public Service, and other state agencies that get involved in the process. So there'll be ample opportunity for people to ask questions and comment. So we're really here tonight just to give a brief introduction. As part of the process, we have to produce photos. We did a visibility demonstration back in December. I notified all the abutters. I put an ad in the Brattleboro paper. I notified the Board of Selectmen and all the town, and hopefully people got notice of that. It was a beautifully sunny day, and I have lots of photographs and photo simulations from that will be included with the application, but I'll also show them tonight. In addition, we've had several communications with the Wyndham Planning Commission, or the Wyndham Regional Commission, and I'm actually going in front of them probably the first week of February as well. So they're another regional planning agency that gets involved in this process. By way of introduction, Vertex-Towers is what we call a wireless infrastructure developer. The names that you've heard of, Verizon and AT&T in the telecommunications world, have pretty much gotten out of the real estate business so they can focus on telecommunications, and have partnered up with folks like Vertex to build wireless infrastructure. We've been very active both in Vermont and throughout all of New England. We've built probably 30 similar facilities in New Hampshire, another dozen in Massachusetts or so. We've already built 2 in Vermont, one in Bennington and one in Rockingham by the around 103 by the not too far from the Vermont Country Store. We have 4 approvals. We have 4 approvals in 2025 that we'll be building in 2026, and we have several applications pending in front of the PUC and as part of the 60-day notice. And what we found is real estate developers, we can be more. We are beholden to the telecommunications companies. The engineers that design these are. We're trying to satisfy them and provide quality signal, but at the same time, we can be very cognizant of the environmental regulations, the town's concerns with respect to citing these things. We've been very successful and very well received throughout all of New England. In this case, we partnered up with Verizon Wireless. I think you've heard of them. They're the largest telecommunications company in the United States. They already have several facilities. I don't think anything in Dummerston, but they have one in Brattleboro, they have one in Putney, and other facilities throughout the state, and they're very active in trying to improve their telecommunications service throughout all of the state of Vermont. I hope I don't need to sell cell phone service here in Dummerston. I was driving here out of Brattleboro. I stopped at the Vermont Country Deli because my daughter told me to go there. I was driving along the road here, and I was talking to my wife, and the signal just cut out right at the Brattleboro Dummerston line. So along West River Road, the signal is there. The statistics are staggering. Over 80% of 911 calls are made by cell phones. Over 50% of the country have cut the cord and don't have a landline as their only source of communication, so their cell phones are their only source of communications. And things have gotten exponentially more demanding as a result of the pandemic and other requirements. People are trying to educate from home, work from home, and do more things. People are getting healthcare from home, and just the need for better quality signal. The other thing that's happening is our phones are doing more than they used to. When we first got cell phones, we thought they were telephones. And what we've seen is that they've become internet access devices and streaming video devices. And they allow us to use GPS and other applications, both home and mobile. And there's just an overwhelming demand for better connectivity and more connectivity. We work very closely with the Department of Public Service. The Public Service has done an immense amount of research here to show, what Vermonters really want. The majority of Vermonters agree that we need better cell phone coverage here in Vermont by whatever means necessary. Healthcare workers say that they are able to provide better healthcare services with better cell phone service because people can connect remotely, ask questions, as opposed to driving to a healthcare facility. Public safety is our primary driver here. There are so many roads that are still uncovered by cell phone service, including the road right out here, West Street and West River Road. Public safety officials also are working with us to improve telecommunications throughout Vermont, including West Dummerston. Like I said, Verizon already has a tower in Bennington, right along Route 91 that provides some coverage to the what I would say the eastern part of Dummerston, and also a tower in Putney that has some benefit to eastern Dummerston. But there's nothing here on the west side of Dummerston, certainly along the West River Road corridor that can provide any kind of quality signal. And I'm going to jump ahead here, only because and it's really obvious why there's horrible coverage here in Dummerston. It's the topography. As with respect to all of southern Vermont, pretty much all of Vermont, the topography is very dramatic. This is the West River Road corridor coming along the river here. And you can see there are very dramatic hills, including the hill that we're on, Sugar Mountain, and across the other side. So like I said, there's an existing facility down here in Bennington. There's an existing facility.
You mean Brattleboro?
I'm sorry, I meant to say Brattleboro, I'm sorry. Brattleboro, and then also a facility in Putney that have some benefit to this pipe, but they certainly don't get over the ridge here that's the center of Dummerston to provide coverage along the West River corridor and the western part of the state. And so going back, this is really the coverage that Verizon enjoys now along the Route 91 corridor in Brattleboro. They have a pretty good signal based on facilities there near the downtown area, and then up in Putney to provide decent coverage along the 91 corridor. But like I said, that ridge that we just witnessed here, you can see cuts off the signal. And there are pockets, at the top of the mountain here, but certainly in the river valley and the roads, there's really minimal coverage that allows us to make a quality cell phone signal. And there's really no alternative here. As you get closer to urban areas, there's water tanks and tall church steeples and things like that, taller buildings. There's really nothing of any kind of height in Dummerston, or West Dummerston at least, that would provide any kind of opportunity. There's an immense amount of environmental restrictions. There's an immense amount of wetlands as you can go down the river valley. There's a lot of conservation land, so that we struggle to find appropriate locations. We don't look for a lot. We look for a very small postage stamp. But because people want setbacks from abutting properties, we require larger lots. So, or require, and then finding willing landowners, because these aren't huge money makers. These are just, we pay a very small fee to be on a very small portion of large parcels. So finding suitable locations is a challenge. And we believe that the site here is not only the least intrusive, but really one of the only available ones. We've been working on this for several years to find an appropriate solution. And we believe that the site at Sugar Mountain is very unintrusive and the only alternative. The lot itself is about 360 acres. It has some frontage on West River, some frontage on Sugar Mountain Road, and but it's a very large parcel. It's the old ski hill. One of the reasons why it works for us is because there's an existing cart path, or it was like an access road to the top of the mountain for the ski hill. So we really, from a construction perspective, it's minimally invasive. We'll utilize the existing driveway that comes up the hill, come down like a little ski trail there, and get to a little plateau right there. We're very amply set back. I think we're about 2,800 feet off of West River Road, 500 feet to the closest property line, 1,800 feet to the back. So it's very amply set back from all abutting properties, and certainly here's the measurements right here: 500 feet to the closest property line, 2,800 feet to West River Road, 1,800 feet to the back. So it's I think from a siting perspective, it's as unintrusive as possible. The facility itself is really just a 40 by 60 compound. There'll be a chain link fence with some telecommunications equipment. 40 by 60 is about 2,400 square feet on a 60 acre parcel. So it's a quite small development relative to the size of the parcel. These facilities are unmanned, they're passive. There'll be maybe 6 weeks of construction activity, and then they're all remotely monitored. No one visits it. Basically, someone might go up there once a month or so just to make sure the fence is intact. All the equipment is remotely monitored and actually can be tweaked remotely if necessary. So there's really no traffic, no noise, no lighting. We don't require lighting for FAA purposes. There'll be a small parking space for the maintenance vehicle that might go up there, but it's as passive as it could possibly be. We don't do any manned facilities, no water, sewer. Everything is, we don't plow the road in the wintertime. We don't require winter access. If someone needed to go there for any reason, they'd bring a snow vehicle up there. We have routinely built similar facilities on mountaintops and in equally or more challenging locations. And so it's just a situation that once it's built, it's incredibly benign and passive. The tower itself is what we call a monopole type facility. It's a single pole on which Verizon Wireless and other telecommunications companies in the future will attach antennas. All the cabling runs down the middle of the pole to the base station. And like I said, there's like a 6-foot chain link fence, a little shed for the telecommunications equipment. The foundation hasn't been designed yet. What happens is we get approval by the Public Utilities Commission, and then we go up and do geotechnical analysis to see really what's under there. There might be some ledge, there might be some dirt, sand, we don't really know. And then we'll design a foundation very specific to the location, very specific to the county wind and ice loading standards. It's all very heavily engineered to be very, very, very safe. And there are hundreds of similar facilities throughout Vermont. There are tens of thousands nationally, and as more and more get built, they continue to tweak the engineering standards to make sure that they're designed very safely. These facilities are also very low-powered radio stations. They're basically radio stations similar to AM and FM, but at a different frequency band. But different than AM and FM and television, because it's a two-way communication, because your cell phone is trying to talk to the nearest cell tower, and the nearest cell tower is trying to talk to your phone. It's a very low-powered communication, because you're talking like this and it's communicating back. So, for example, an AM radio station broadcasts out about 50,000 watts, and that's designed to broadcast out at a very large geography. This is designed to broadcast out really in what I call the West Dummerston neighborhood at about 100 watts. So it's a very low-powered station. And the radio frequency emissions, the power output, and the frequencies are very heavily federally regulated by the FCC and other federal agencies to be very well under Apple. And so they broadcast out only well under Apple FCC regulations. And like I said, what this is designed to do is really cover the West River corridor as we go north through West Dummerston, the neighborhood around here, the other side of the hill. And as we could see, that ridge that we talked about previously, it doesn't get above that. So it's not designed to cover all of Dummerston, but certainly the western part and the West River corridor going up into Newfane and Brookline. Early on, someone on the Board of Selectmen said there's actually a church steeple in what I would call the other side of Dummerston that would be an opportunity to put antennas in. And we looked at it because we always look at suggestions of the town and also anything tall in town. But and I actually drove around quite a bit. That church steeple is on the side of the hill going down towards the 91 corridor there. It doesn't clear the ridge. Anything that we would put there would cover that neighborhood, but it certainly wouldn't replace the tower that we're proposing for Sugar Mountain, because and I'm not saying it's not a viable option for another area, but it's not a replacement for this particular facility. Like I said, this facility is designed to cover the West Dummerston area as opposed to the East Dummerston area. But everyone wants to know what it's going to look like back in December. We put a balloon up in the air. I don't do it. We engage engineers to do it to certify the height of the balloon. They take pictures and do photo simulations. I notified as many people as possible, and I'm just going to jump over to the photos. We engage engineers to take photographs from various vantage points along West River Road. I had a tremendous amount of input from the Wyndham Planning Commission, the Wyndham Regional Commission as well. They were very thoughtful and thought of places that we might not have thought of. That they projected that there was some visibility on the other side of the river, down by the covered bridge, and kind of going up the hill on the other side of the river valley. So we took several photographs as well. And I'm just going to highlight these numbers because they go in order. Number 1 is right in front by the old ski lodge. Number 2 is down by the covered bridge. Number 3 is across the river. It looked like there was an old bridge, just an old foundation there. Number 4 was down to the south, looking back to the north. 5, 6, 7, 4, 5, 6. I'm sorry. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And so they kind of did a loop around it, and that's relevant. So this is taken from right at the base of the ski hill. You can barely see the balloon because it's about 28, it's actually more, it's probably about 3,000 feet back. What the tower will look like is, like I said, it'll be projecting above the trees. What that tells me is even though the tower is 140 feet tall, you're seeing about the top 60 feet of tower. You're not seeing the full 140 feet. But from this vantage point, it's about 3/4 of a mile, maybe 3,000 feet, 6/10 of a mile from the site. So it kind of blends in with the horizon, pretty much so. This is taken from the covered bridge on the other side of the river, and you can barely see the balloon, but the engineers superimpose it, and that tells me you're seeing about maybe 40 feet of the tower right there. So it's above the tree line, but at this point, you're probably a mile from the location. So there's some visibility, but it tends to blend in with the distance. This was taken on the other side of the river, farther down. I think there was some foundation here that I saw, like an old bridge foundation, and there was some visibility through the trees. And these are all, obviously trees that leaf off. It'll, as things come in, it'll mitigate the view, but there was some visibility through the trees right there. And this is showing me that that's about 30 feet of the tower. As we go farther down West River, looking back, the site is way back here, so you don't see it until when I drove along West River Road here, I didn't see it until I was right at the ski lodge, because there's the opening where the parking lot used to be. But you don't see it along the West River corridor heading north or south either. As we jumped over to Day Road across the river and somewhat up the hill. Again, there was some visibility. You see maybe 30 feet of the tower right there because you're looking down across the river valley and then back up the hill. But at this point, I'm going to guess you're, that was right here. So you're maybe 8/10 of a mile from the facility. And then farther down on Mountain Camp Road, again, some visibility there, but at this point you're over a mile away from the facility. And then as you go up north on West River Road, looking back toward the site, there's really no visibility because, as you can imagine, as you're coming down from Newfane, the road is actually heading west and then curves around Sugar Mountain. So Sugar Mountain, there's a facility like way over here. So you don't get a vantage point where you can see it anywhere north of the ski lodge. This is probably 2 miles away, and again, there's some visibility there, but you're seeing about the top 10 feet of the tower at that point. So I can't say that it's invisible, but given the distant views as opposed to the up closer views, I think we picked a location that is as minimally intrusive as possible. And the last thing I'm going to say, in addition to the state and the Public Utilities Commission being heavily involved in the regulation of these facilities, the federal government is also very heavily involved. Because we are federally licensed, we're also federally regulated. We do an immense amount of environmental due diligence to make sure that we don't have any impact on migratory birds, Native American resources. So any other development in Dummerston doesn't have this level of scrutiny, but because we're federally licensed, we're also federally regulated. That being said, the federal government is also very supportive of this. Back about 30 years ago, the federal government recognized the value in wireless telecommunications. It was at the time when we had one telephone company, AT&T, and they broke up the landlines into multiple landline systems. They gave out many, many different wireless licenses in order to foster competition in the wireless industry and in the telecommunications industry generally. And what the federal government says is that you can't discriminate against distant carriers. We want multiple carriers. We want competition, because just because my AT&T phone might work doesn't mean you can say no to Verizon, or vice versa. And also, in order to encourage development of this type of infrastructure, a town doesn't have to say yes. The PUC doesn't have to say yes, but they can't say no without sufficient reason. If we were near a sensitive area, near if we had to put it near an airport and there was a blinky light at the top, or we were near a school or something, a sensitive use, towns could have some legitimate concern. But you just can't say no, we don't want it. You can't have the effect of prohibiting these type of communications. If we've got a compliant application and there's really no reason to say no, towns, they can express their concerns, they can express their reservations, but a town can't say we don't want wireless at all. The federal government has deemed this technology safe. We've been living with it for a very long time. There's many examples of similar facilities throughout Vermont, throughout New England, throughout all the United States, and and there's been an immense amount of federal judicial examination of these type of things. You just can't have the effect of prohibiting. You've got to allow it in some capacity, and so we as an industry, and certainly Vertex and myself, I've been doing this for about 25 years. I think we've gotten pretty good at addressing people's concerns. We understand people, they're not universally popular. No one likes change, but at the same time, we all want change, because the only thing that's happened in the last 5 years is people have bought more and more phones, and our phones are evolving, and we want high-speed data, and we want more capability from our phones. So the ultimate goal here is to get what's called a certificate of public good from the Department of Public Utilities. We don't need the town's permission, but at the same time, the Department of Public Utilities wants to hear from the town. The town can write a recommendation for, they can write a recommendation against. The town's input is valuable. The public's input is valuable. The public will have an opportunity to comment at the PUC as well. But we would certainly request that the town make a positive recommendation so that we can move forward with the project. We're not done with the engineering yet, because like I said, there's a lot of site-specific things that we have to do that would require us to go up there. We haven't really, other than some engineers walking there and surveying up there, we haven't really done any subsurface investigations. So we're still a ways away from getting a building permit and constructing, but we would ask that the town make a positive recommendation so that we can continue to move forward. With that, I can sit down, I can answer questions, or I could do whatever the board desires.
This time, if you want to ask, people ask questions while he's here. Again, as pointed out, we will have a follow-up to this once the PUC notifies us that they're filing the paperwork. So this is information only, but free to ask whatever questions you want.
Good.
Who pays for this?
So Vertex is essentially a real estate developer. We build all the infrastructure, we bring in the utilities, we build the structure, and then we lease space on the tower to Verizon Wireless and in the future other telecommunications companies. So it's Vertex that deploys its capital too. But ultimately the money comes from Verizon, who's the tenant. It's essentially vertical real estate.
Just curious, you have to get electricity to it, right?
Yes, we bring utility, there's actually 3 sources of power because of backup. We bring primary power up the access road, so we'll bring a series of telephone poles up the road to the site. If in the event of a power failure, there's backup batteries that last 12 or 24 hours, and then there'll be a third power source, a generator. The generator is only used, after 24 hours after a power failure, and just for the duration of the power failure. But it's once we're on the air, people rely upon it, so they need to make sure that it's going to stay on. I'm sorry?
So, what was the decision to locate that one within the conservation zone as opposed to going a little bit further down the hill if the target is still kind of that corridor?
See, part of the problem is that, as you know, it's a very steep hill. We also, we wanted to take advantage of the driveway to be as minimally invasive as possible. And then we come down the driveway just a little bit to a plateau. When you go farther down the hill, it starts getting really steep and unbuildable. So, so really, this was the, and also to get, the hill actually goes up farther this way. So to get signal that comes around the curve and then north up into Newfane, we needed to be as close to the top of the hill as possible, and not farther down where it was unbuildable.
But like within the access road up, if you had stopped anywhere before that site, would you still have that same issue?
Yeah, because it actually, the access road is here and then it goes up a little bit and then down. So, the engineers spent a lot of time scoping this out, working with the landowners to find an appropriate location. We've built challenging sites on hills before, but you gotta find kind of a level area. You can't build retaining walls and things like that. So, because we put I don't want to say specifically, but maybe a 10 by 10 by 6 foot foundation to hold it up. So, finding a place where that plateaus out and the foundation is maybe, like I said, 10 by 10-ish. It's site specific, but, finding an area that's flat enough to do that. So they spent a lot of time making sure that we were minimally invasive without, and still constructible.
Because the current conservation zone kind of stops on the way up that hill, correct? It starts on near the top of the hill.
Right. We've had several communications with the Agency of Natural Resources. They're aware of that. We've tweaked the plans a couple times in response to their concerns. But it's like I can't stay out of the conservation zones and make it buildable, so it's kind of a compromise there. And even though we're in a conservation zone, we're not really taking down a whole lot of trees because we're in an area that's previously disturbed by the ski hill.
And then I had one other follow-up question was, I didn't see on those plans any measures for camouflaging, how you see some of the other structures around here, where they kind of put the branches or something like that. Given that it's in a conservation zone, has that been
I'll tell you
about it all?
Beauty is in the eye of the beholder. We've tried as an industry, and I've been involved in several attempts to camouflage. It's a cell tower. And the more you try to camouflage it, the worse it looks. It's never gonna look like a pine tree. It's never gonna look like an artificial Christmas tree. I was in a town in Massachusetts a year ago. They said, "We want a tree." And I said, "You don't want it. It's above the ridgeline. It's gonna stick up like that." And I told them, it's gonna look like a toilet bowl brush because the branches can't taper because when they go up too far, they start to sag. And it looks like a toilet bowl brush. And they said, take the branches off. We'd rather, it's, the structure itself is it's like a guardrail. And I noticed, you've got a very long guardrail here along the river. It's that same material. Though it's a galvanized steel, it's non-reflective. I've had towns that have said, paint it blue, because the sky is blue. But if you measure it, the sky is more gray than blue more days of the year. So, we can talk about it, but I'm going to tell you don't want it because it's just, as we saw, there were some instances where it was sticking up above the tree line. So it's not going to look like a tree. It's going to look like a pipe cleaner or a toilet bowl brush. And given the distance that it is from any of the vantage points, it's just not gonna look right. But
I may have missed it, but did you buy that little plot of land? And that's it, you're renting it?
we rent it,
From whom?
we do a very small lease. I think the lease area is like 75 by 75. We build a 60 by 40, and then we get an easement to use the driveway. That's it.
Do you know who you're renting it from?
The Sugar Mountain Holdings. I don't get involved in that, but I know they're the landowner.
Are we indemnified? Is the town indemnified by you folks at all?
I wouldn't see why.
Well, you filed several lawsuits against towns over the last several years.
What does that have to do with indemnification?
Well, you'd be protected in some way
From what?
from your suits.
I have sued towns that have illegally denied my application. That doesn't deserve indemnification. I'm looking here for a positive recommendation from the town, so we're trying to work together here.
And if you folks, if for some reason you folks go out of business, what happens?
That's a very good question. And
You mean the others weren't?
no, it's not required in the PUC regulations, but the question comes up every time. It's going to outlast me. It's going to outlast everybody here. We anticipate that the technology is going to be for a very long time, but things do become obsolete. And many towns have asked, and we would agree to it, to post a bond. So if 50 years from now, the tower becomes obsolete, is no longer used or necessary, the town has a and we're obligated with the landowner to take it down. But, there's buildings in Brattleboro that were supposed to get taken down 100 years ago that still haven't gotten taken down yet. So, but we would post a bond. So if the town were to request that as a condition of the PUC decision, we would agree to that. Good?
I'm just thinking about like how long the lease is on this. It's my understanding that I thought you guys bought that chunk of land, or is it a lifetime forever lease?
Neither. Generally, and I don't get involved in that, but it's a public record somewhere. Generally, it's a 5-year lease with renewal options, so they average 30, 40, 50 years. I've never, the industry is only 20 years old, so no one's ever gotten to the end of the lease. But my suspicion is if it was still being used, we'd negotiate an extension. But our lease with the landowner says when the lease is over, we'll remove it. And if we're not here because the company goes out of business, the town could request a bond so that they would be able to take it down.
Any other questions? I don't see anybody online. Any hands online that want to ask questions? All right.
I was just going to say that it's not unobtrusive. It's very visible. I mean, it sticks up higher. I went and looked at the balloons, and it's up higher than, it's twice as high as any tree there. So I hate to hear you say it's not, it's unobtrusive. But on the other hand, we're in a cell phone world, and the local comparisons are the one in Brattleboro down by the bridge, the I-91 bridge, is very indistinguishable. It's not very high, and it's got branches on it. You don't even know it's there. There's one in Putney when you go up Route 30 on the side of the road before you get to the village that you don't see from the top of the hill, but then as you go down, it's right.
Do you mean Route 5?
No, Route 30.
Into
Oh,
Putney?
excuse me, New Fen.
Oh, you're talking about New Fen.
Misspeak.
Okay, New Fen. I was
Misspeak.
not
Yes, which becomes as visible as this one would be. I have the model for being unobtrusive of the old power line that they took from Brattleboro way up north, and it's awesome to see how that was built so that it's cut into the hill and it's not visible from the road, even though when you go right by it and you look up, there it is. But you can't do anything like that with this. So,
it's a dilemma that we have because people want them to be invisible, but they want them to work.
yeah.
And I keep going back to this map because it shows the challenge. And anything that we built farther down would cover a very short area because of the curves in the road. It wouldn't get around Sugar Mountain. So, rather than building multiple facilities that have all the challenges, environmental challenges, we're at the top of the hill. I think it's unobtrusive. I drive around for a living, and I drive around. I'm a mobile professional. I'm always looking for a cell phone signal, and I'm always looking for them as a professional in the industry. And this is so set back from the horizon that it's going to blend in.
It's not.
It's not going to blend in my backyard.
No, it's not.
It's like I'm in a butter, and it's right there.
What we find is that the closest people don't see it because you have trees in your backyard. If there's a 150-foot tower and you've got trees in your backyard, you're not going to see it.
I won't see it when my eyes are closed.
I'm not sure where you live, but you can't live closer than 500 feet to it. So there's 500 feet of trees in between.
That's what, 2 soccer fields?
What's that?
2 soccer fields? It's about 500 feet, right? Just for my visual.
Soccer field's 100 yards, isn't it? So yeah, about that. But that's from the closest property. I'm not sure where you are, but and so that's the nearest property line is right there. That's 500 feet. As you come down, we said that was 2,800 feet, 1,800 feet to the back here, and you can see there's not, it's not a heavily developed area. There's trees up there, so that it's as visually mitigating as we can make them. You got to get above the trees in order the trees and even without foliage on them are a structural impediment to the signal. But the hills are a structural impediment to the signal. So going in any other direction closer to the road would make it more visible along the West River corridor. And so by setting it back so far for West River, the most visibility that I saw was along what's this road here?
Camp Harbor Road.
Yeah, exactly. That's there was one little patch there, one little farm that you could see it, but like I said, you're about a mile away at the point. It's really as you came down the West River corridor, never once could you see it. It wasn't in your windshield. And then the only other time that you could see it from West River was way up here, a couple miles away. So I just drove past the Scutney Mountain on my way. I was in Ludlow last night. And as you drive past the Scutney, there's antennas at the top that you could see, maybe 3 or 4 miles away. It was barely visible. I saw some towers at the top of Mount Centipede. Again, given the height of the mountain and the distance, they were barely visible. So, there's lots of examples of things on mountaintops that are very valuable and provide a great quality signal, but are, the distance provides a very significant visual buffer.
All right.
How do I ask a question, Bob?
You can go ahead and ask a question.
Because I didn't mean to interrupt. I didn't know how to announce myself. Sorry for the lack of face. I'm just speaking because I have a couple of observations. The first is that this is a pretty good location to select. As you say, it's on the top of a hill, and it makes it so you don't have a lot of these towers along this corridor. Second of all, somebody's going to see it somewhere, and the truth is, I'm on Miller Road. I have enough elevation so that I look over the Connecticut River to the hill opposite me. I don't see one, I see 2 towers, and they're really clearly visible. So they're a fact of life, just like all the electrical poles that we all got used to when they were first put in. I think that this is a good project to proceed with, and that's my observation.
Thank you.
All right, did you have another question?
No.
Just as from a lack of engineering knowledge about it, why couldn't it go on that giant power line strip?
Um,
On the,
I think that goes through here.
yeah.
It wouldn't get above Sugar Mountain to provide coverage to the valley. So I think that back, I think we just saw that. Yeah, see, the top of the peak is like right in here, so it wouldn't get above that in order to provide any signal to this area here.
Yeah, it'd be a bad place because of the way it was planned to be unobtrusive.
And the other issue we're having, we actually have several towers in Massachusetts. Massachusetts was very aggressive in trying to put them on power lines. And then as technology improved and we needed to upgrade them, we would say to the power company, we need to get up on the power line, the big transmission line to swap out the antennas. And they said, yeah, how about October 2027? Because we have to shut down the power line for you to climb the poles. And so it turned out to be unworkable. We built several towers next to power lines or in power line easements because of the inability to access the power lines without shutting them down. So it was a good idea, and it has evolved into a very challenging situation. So let me to recap the process. We'll be filing the formal application probably within the next couple of weeks. The town will get a copy and notice. I believe the abutters get notice, but not a copy, only because it's probably 300 or 400 pages long. But you'll get, if you've got that package, then you'll get a similar package. Everything's available online at the PUC. The PUC is very electronic. They welcome comments from anybody. They welcome comments from the town. The Regional Planning Commission will weigh in on it. The Department of Public Service will weigh in on it. So there's an ample opportunity to get notice and participate in the public process.
I got one more online. Paul, you have a question?
Yeah, it's more of a statement. I live on Green Mountain Camp. On Green Mountain Camp Road, and I saw the balloon. It was not that noticeable from our property. Also, my main concern is the public safety. During the wintertime, we have car accidents on our hill all the time. And guess what? They have no cell phone. They come knocking on the door at all hours of the day and night, wanting to use a landline. So I think it's a safety issue more than anything else.
All right. Thanks. And John Quayne asked online, it doesn't seem the signal will cover the end of Camp Arden Road. So anybody on Camp Arden Road, when you look at the map, just, it was more a statement. I can't tell. I can't see Camp Arden Road.
That should get to camp.
Yeah, it's all Camp Arden Road.
We can camp, and that and the other side over in here.
Yeah, it follows right along the river north.
All right. So you say when you file the PUC, we'll have the application online.
Yeah, there'll be the application package is like 350 pages long with all the plans, the environmental reports. There's more extensive radio frequency analysis and affidavits from various professionals.
Can we get a copy of this to post for people to look at?
I can certainly email you copies.
Yeah, email. So we'll post this briefing on the town website so you guys can look at it whenever you want and pick it apart or whatever you need to do. All right. Well, thank you for coming out.
Thank you very much.
Oh yeah, you turn the lights back on. I've employed a bunch of people, light people, signing people. So we're in visitors public comment. Anybody here for something that's not on the agenda that they want to comment about? Before we move on. All right. Road foreman's not here. I don't think he's got anything to report. Correspondence information. Does anybody on the board have any questions or interest in any of those right now? All right, we'll pass correspondence for discussion. It's a new business. Let's move the appointments for the record DRB to the end of the section, is that all right? And we'll get the, is that all right? That's right? All right, so approve the 2006, 2000, well, hang on, we have to do some reorder. No, we don't. Approve the 2026, 2027 budget, better known as FY26. Maria, how do you want to handle that?
So, did you all get the revised ones with the updated insurance numbers?
I did.
This afternoon.
Yeah, okay.
I didn't get to look at it.
Yeah.
So it all aligns with, I mean, everything checks
Yes.
for me, so the numbers are all good.
Yeah.
So does anybody have any questions on the budget numbers?
I do, just on the sheriff's department.
Yep. Which department?
Sheriff's department?
Yep.
It's been increased by $4,500, and we talked about adding $5 a month, I believe.
Yep.
But we never really got into it, and I don't think it's necessary.
To add the extra hours?
Right. And the extra money.
Right. So we did add the 5 hours, right, per
It
month?
looks it to me.
Yeah, that's what that number is.
It was 75 an hour times 5 times.
Right, $4,500.
All right.
Yeah, we spoke about it. We didn't go into detail.
Right, we didn't go into detail on this. The sheriff's department didn't meet their contract last year, so why would we add more money to it now?
Right. Paul, did they not get to their hours last year, or did they?
They were off 11 point some odd hours. He thought it was 15, but he's making it up this year.
But is he gonna be able to make up the extra 60 hours?
Yes, he will. He assures me he will.
Sure you will, he probably assured the year before that he would too.
Well,
I just have a problem with that additional money going for the sheriff.
All right. I'm getting the right page. Public safety.
Public safety first.
All right. Paul, do you have any fight back on that?
well, it's just a matter of, you look at the returns that we get from revenue, and it also increases it, offsets it.
But we haven't seen those returns written down anywhere. We've had 2 reports from the sheriff's department, I think.
He doesn't write it down. We don't get any returns from the sheriff's department. It comes from the state. It comes from the court system.
Well, exactly.
The town of Dummerston, we get 80% of the fines.
Okay, but we don't get reports on what his coverage has been as far as patrolling.
We do get them.
Once in a great while, but not very often.
We do get them. I mean, I can supply them every month if you would like. It usually comes in on the 15th of the month.
Yeah, I think it would be viable to do that. It's
Sure.
we're spending down money, so let's see what we're spending on.
That's not a problem.
All right. Well, any other discussion on it?
But I'm okay with spending the money on it. My only concern is the focus is to try to fight the speeding in town. Is the sheriff aware that that's what we want the focus to be? That's why we're increasing the hours?
Yes.
Okay.
And public safety.
And additionally, Paul coordinated with the sheriff. He had a number. He had a number that if you weren't over X amount speed limit, he wasn't going to give you a ticket. You had to change that to whatever we wanted it to, which is a lot lower. So instead of 10 miles over the speed limit, it's 5 miles over the speed limit, or they're just going to write a ticket. And we're going to talk about this also outside of budget. Wyndham Regional and the sheriff we're going to hold a little forum and talk about speeding in general. It'll be something like this, where they'll come and talk for 10 or 15 minutes about things they've done or things they know may work to reduce speeding. And people can ask questions, and then we can take that all in and figure out if there's something we can do, because the speeding tends to be just an ongoing problem. Obviously, Middle Road and East-West Road are thoroughfares, but it's the dirt roads too. If you live at 45, 50 on dirt roads, and if you live on a dirt road, that'd be quite irritating. It's irritating. I live on Middle Road and I can hear them, so I understand that. So for the budget for the sheriff's department contract next year, Skip, you'd like to reduce it back to what it was, or are you good with what it is now?
I prefer to see it go back, but
All right.
we can vote on it.
Sure. All right. Make a motion, Mr. Mann.
I make a motion to change the sheriff's department contract from $26,250 for the year to $21,750 for the year.
All right. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
All right. So for the discussion, it'll be an hour change. It may not be 21,750.
But yeah, that's fine.
It'd be, but it'd be the number of
It'd be
hours.
the number of hours, yeah, 60 hours.
60 hours.
Yes, yes.
60 hours less. Okay. That'll be a math question. All right. Any further discussion?
I'll just say my opinion is I was also concerned about the hours, but as long as they're going to focus on speeding, I'm okay with the spending. That's just my point of view on that.
All right. So for the five of us, if there's no more discussion, all those in favor of reducing the hours by 60 for the Sheriff's Department contract for FY26, say aye.
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 And all those against, say nay.
Nay.
Nay. All right, so 3-2 carries it. So we'll keep it at 26. Well, the value of 26,250. Is that right? Yeah. And we'll put the hours on. All right, other budget items we want to talk about. Any from up here? Any from the audience? All right.
Actually,
Yeah.
I got your email.
Yep.
Okay. We appreciate you really trying to figure out a way to get, the numbers that we needed, meet us midway. But
bear in mind, this is me, not we. I was only speaking for myself, which is very clear.
Okay.
Any discussion?
As you know, our situation has changed a bit, and we're getting some feedback regarding the salary range that we advertised as it being kind of like low. So because we're in flux, we can't commit to reducing our numbers.
That's fine.
For the staffing.
All right.
Okay.
And so the library budget is, what is it, 24.9? Let me get the right page. Is what we put in the budget, I think.
That's what it was, yeah.
Well, it was before last town meeting. Before
Right.
last, yeah.
And at town meeting, we do intend to advocate or put to a vote to increase the budget for the additional staff that we didn't have before the grant.
Right.
We have the full amount.
Okay. So for the purposes of while we're all here, so right now the budget you're getting to cover essentially what will be the library and community centers, that's a total of $40,900.
You said community center?
Yeah, because the building has to be maintained. So there's $16,000 to maintain the building, and there's $24,900 for operations.
Right. So we're saying that we needed the $32,000 for operations, for library operations, and that the $16,000 you had put on a separate line on the budget.
That's
so
right.
We weren't really.
But the money does exist. It hasn't disappeared.
Okay.
So what I was trying to say is the town right now is committed to, in this budget recommendation, $40,900
Okay.
for this whole thing to operate.
Right.
Last year it was $42,062 or $42,000 even. So
Yeah, but we were only carrying $10,000 of the full cost of what it costs to operate this building.
I understand.
Yeah.
But what we're going to have further discussions, I'm just trying to point out that what the town is committing to
Right.
is less than $1,000 than what we gave you last year to have this thing run.
It doesn't include income though, that the building used to get.
Well, that'll be offset by the income that comes in. So
Yeah,
but we're budgeting 16 because we can't guarantee that money's going to be there. We have to pay the bills, right?
Yeah.
Which is a discussion we had.
No, I'm just saying the difference between last year didn't include, it wasn't including income that was coming into the community center because that wasn't Dummerston town money, basically. And then, well, we don't know what's going to happen. So that's the thing. It's a lot of unknowns, but it
We're
doesn't
in
account
flux
for the
right now.
income.
It's hard to have a number when there's so many unknowns.
So that what I'm saying is it's a little misleading because that part of it,
Right.
all the rentals and stuff, isn't included as an offset of what's spent.
That's right.
It's a lot of unknowns.
That is a lot of unknowns. So an extra $8,000, we'll put the number at, what it was, is it the amount you asked for is what you're gonna ask for again? Or is it more because of salaries?
The budget I proposed was a total of $32,000.
I think that's right. Let me escape out.
And that did not include that line for the building rent.
That's right.
So I had taken that out.
Right. All right. Any other inputs on that, on the budget anywhere?
I have a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
I was curious about what the backhoe, the justification is for the backhoe.
Is that Priscilla?
It is.
Your select board member. Should have told you that. Paul herself.
Not him, it's me.
Let's go to the backhoe, 26, 27. I need Lee to answer that question, unless somebody remembers the discussion specifically.
Well, part is the age of the backhoe.
Yeah, it's 2012 backhoe.
Right, so it's 13 years old, 14 years old.
Yep, that's right.
And you get wear and tear on them, and you know, I understand that they don't last forever.
No, they don't.
That's true. All
The
right.
longer,
Is
the
that,
longer you wait, the longer, the less money you get back when you turn it in.
Right. Okay, thank you.
yeah, and it's a 16, just I look at the 2012 backhoe has a lifespan of 16 years, so by that standard, 2028, which would be next year, if you drop it. Like with a lot of the stuff, there's a line where you cross, just like Skip said, where you can sell it and get money for it to recuperate some of the cost. But it gets to a certain point, you're not going to get that money back, or it's going to deteriorate very quickly and you have nothing in it.
Todd, I have a question.
Ruth, go ahead.
Just to help me out, in looking at the latest budget numbers that Maria sent this afternoon, under the library number, it looks like it's 24.9. Where is the rest of the money?
The 16,000 we're talking about?
Yeah.
It's on the line right above it for the community center.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I was so focused on the one line because there were so many documents today. I want to make sure I'm looking at each right thing.
You got the right one.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. Any other questions?
I have one, and this is Gail, but I couldn't get my camera working.
Well,
how about that?
You can do it.
Before you go ahead and vote on this, would you do a summary of the municipal taxes, what the effect is going to be on the taxpayers in Dummerston in terms of the increase and how it perhaps fits in with what the state might increase?
The state side last I read was about 12% is what they're looking at for education. That may change. So for our purposes, for the municipal tax rate, Maria, check these because I'm reading off my list, which I think agrees with everything else. The increase from last year is $172,933, which is 12.84%, which would work out to about a 2.6% increase on your tax bill for the municipal side, because we only cover 20% of your tax bill. Education covers 80%. So for the municipal side of your taxes, they're going to go up 2.6%. Or if your tax bill is $5,000, I don't know what every tax bill is. It'd go up $128. If it's $10,000, it'd go up $257.
Okay, so I think as you share this information, it looks overwhelming to people to think our taxes might go up in Dummerston almost 13%, but that's really not the case. It's only going to be a little over 2% of our total tax bill.
Really, yeah, 2.6% of your tax bill. It's not a tax raise. I don't want to say it's not. I'm
right, I understand. Yeah.
Giving it the breakdown. And then we'll call the governor and see what they do about the school.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? All right, so I'll make a motion that the select board approves the budget recommendation for FY26.
I'll second it.
We have a second. Any more discussion? All right, all those in favor of approving the recommended budget for FY26, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
All those against?
Aye.
All right. Okay, so 4-1, you're a nay.
I'm a nay, yeah, nay.
Okay, so 4 yeses, 1 no. All right, clear that. Town meeting warning, let's hold off on that because we need to talk about community center and library. Because, Maria, everybody get the email with the 2-page document in the draft warrant or draft article? All right. What do y'all got to say for yourselves?
Okay. So we are proposing an article for town meeting day that I'll just read it so that everybody has the benefit of knowing what it is. Shall the voters authorize Leah Taft Pratt Library trustees to change the name of the library to the Dummerston Community Center and Library, reflecting the merger of the Dummerston Community Center and the library, and give trustees the option to increase the number of trustees from 5 trustees to 7 trustees. So that's the article that we would like to present at town meeting for vote. And the heart of that is really the merger of the 2 organizations. So this is an opportunity for a single entity to have the opportunity for responsibility for the administrative and finances of running the building, as well as the day-to-day, I'm going to call them chores, overseeing the cleaning and the maintenance and so on. Initially, the library trustees were hesitant to assume those responsibilities. When we first came to you thinking that we had like a problem with what was happening, we were not sure as trustees that we were capable of managing the building on top of the other duties. That was back in early summer. Over the months since then, we've had a number of conversations with community members, and our feelings have evolved to the point where now that the current organization of the Dummerston Community Center is willing to step down, we're volunteering to step in and help with the governance of this by merging these 2 entities. And we cannot do that without a committee structure to help us. It's a lot of work. As the Dummerston Community Center will tell you, they did a lot of work to keep these things going. And we do a lot of work to keep the library going. So we absolutely need vested community members who are enthusiastic about helping us with this responsibility. And the community has identified these people to come in. Several people who want to be on the building committee have done a walkthrough already with the help of the Dummerston Community Center. We would also have people step forward and agree to help us with the scheduling and events part of the running of the community center. And the way that we see it is that this is a real opportunity for us to turn this into like a really vibrant, thriving central meeting place for our town, because our town lacks a public space where everybody can come together and interact right now. Any questions?
Yeah, I thought the deadline for adding articles was passed.
We were told that we could add an article up until the
26th, I
the
believe.
20, yeah.
Is that
Late
actually,
January.
Is that actually true? You have to ask
I'm
Lori.
looking it up now. I don't know. Hang on. Stand by. Is Lori still online? We don't want that. Lori, are you still online? She is.
Here I am.
What's the deadline to get an article on the ballot?
The deadline for petitions was last week, the 15th. The 26th is the deadline for petitions to run for office.
All right. So what are the options? Is there any other option to get an article on the ballot? Aside from
The select board can put an article on, but it's your article.
Right. Okay. So we would vote whether to put an article on or not.
Yes, that's correct.
And the other option would be for us to stand up at town meeting and introduce the article?
Yeah.
The only articles that can be introduced, I believe, are non-binding. This is binding.
All right. Hang on a second, real quick. Lyle, do you have something? You have your hand up.
Yes, I just wanted to reiterate a little bit what Linda had said, but also thank all the community members that have been showing up at these meetings between the community center, the current community center, the library, as we've been working to come together as one organization. The library trustees have noted that running a building is not our sort of forte. However, we think that adding a couple of members who are specifically interested in working toward the community center would be a great benefit. However, if that weren't to happen, we would work as well as we can, but we would continue to need the assistance of all the people that have been showing up and showing interest in moving forward as a full community center.
Eliza, sorry to cut you off.
So I think that what you're doing is great. This library has always been supported by this town and hopefully will continue to be supported at whatever level. You're still going to do great. My concern is that everything's done by the board. So if you're putting an article on adding it in late, you have to consider that everybody else in town who might have put an article in now or next year, whatever, will still have to abide by the rules of getting it in by a certain date. And you're not. So that is something to think about, because in this day and age, there's a lot of not going by the rules exactly going on in our lives, and I think it's important to get that straight. I think there is some question, and I'm not sure exactly what it is, but I know Ruth and Lori have both looked into the structure of a new board and whether you can just say you're going to expand the library board, whether you can do that or whether you have to have a completely different board. I mean, I think that's something to make sure that you're exactly right about before you just start throwing out the board, how the board's going to be composed.
I understand exactly what you're saying. We've been trying to reach people. Tom, we reached out to the League of Vermont.
Yeah, and they said if you want to expand the board of trustees, you just vote on it at town meeting.
Well, I know Ruth's on now. She looked into it. A library can run a community center if they own it. If they don't own it, there is a question about whether they can run it or not.
It's a municipal library and a municipal.
This is all tricky, right?
Yeah,
so you want to make sure you get it straight. And I know that Ruth and Lori have both looked into it.
Right.
So it's worth taking the time to actually do that research and get it exactly right.
We've been trying to.
Yeah. Well, Lori's a really good resource.
Yes, she is.
And I don't think there's been a lot of calling her that when I've been there anyway. So it could be that what you're going to need to do is present it to the town and see what the town wants to do about it. And because I know that the library board is voted on by the town, right?
Yes.
And the community center board was appointed by the select board? No.
It's an own organization.
It was their own organization. So you're just going to have to straighten that out. And it could be that if the town says, we really want a new board that covers the library and the community center, then you figure out how to do that. Or maybe you can figure it out ahead of time. But just don't do it wrong to start with, okay?
No, I appreciate what you're saying, and we do want it to be correct.
Yeah.
And just to give you a background on why we're bringing this up now, we've been doing meetings since I think November.
Right.
We did more informal meetings before.
Right.
People kept wanting to show up to meetings and voice their opinion. So we said, okay, we'll do another meeting. We'll do another meeting to get people involved. So we could have done it kind of more quickly before the end of the year.
Yeah.
But we wanted to have more options for people.
But that is on you about the time issue. I mean, it wasn't, the town has a deadline for articles, and it wasn't done in time. Whether you wanted to have a lot of more meetings or not, it had to be in by a certain time.
Unless the select board.
Right, but you can't you shouldn't count on that, right? You shouldn't have counted on the select board saying, oh yeah, we'll make an exception for you. No, yeah, they are. Because
This is the process of doing it.
it isn't the process. The process is to have your article in on time. And I assume that the select board putting something in at the last minute is more in the case of some sort of emergency or something. Because why would you have a process for some people to be in by the 15th, and then some people just go to whatever select board meeting is closer?
I don't know.
My understanding is that Todd told Tom that that article for the warning needed to be presented. This was the deadline at this meeting. That was our collective understanding. I had never heard the date of the 15th.
Well, the town office is not frequented by a lot of people.
Well, no, but it was just, we were
knows.
getting information from the select board.
Okay.
One member.
Sometimes it's better to go
The chair.
Okay.
Sometimes it's
I'm just pointing
better
that out.
to go to the person who's
Right.
been
So-
around a lot longer.
Before we go too many in circles here, what I said was that the first step and first gate that had to be passed was the select board.
Right.
There was no date associated with that.
But that was a different thing. That was a proposal to the select board, not to the town.
And then if the select board agreed to it, then it would be presented to the town.
So you were planning on doing
I was not planning on doing anything.
you're
I
not
was
planning
planning on
on
waiting for them to
warning
be ready to present a proposal to us, which they are now.
it? Okay, and then you weren't planning on warning it?
I wasn't
at the
not
time.
planning nothing. There's two ways to do, I can read this to you. The select board can put forth an article. That is not outside the procedures, within the procedures.
Okay.
Or you can select a petition. You can go either method. None skirting around anything. We don't have to do it.
So somebody, if they wanted to come to town next year with a proposal to put on an article, they wouldn't really need to pay any attention to the deadline.
Todd, can I clarify something?
Yep, go ahead.
The deadline of the 15th was for petitioned articles, such as the Putney Food Shelf. They got theirs in on time. Then the select board includes it on the warning. The select board, up until they approve the warning, can put whatever they want onto the warning.
So the timeline that they presented that we're here at now at the gate, if we say no, they're out of luck. Because the second option doesn't exist. The petition option, right?
They can bring it to the town meeting, correct?
No.
No.
Oh, they can't
You
bring
just
it
said
down
you
there.
can't, right,
It's not-
because it's an article.
Not as an article, but
But
you
you-
could bring it as a non-binding resolution or something, right?
Sure. So what effect does that have?
No.
Well,
I mean, unless the select board.
if the
doesn't
town
listen to it.
voted to, an extra 8,000 or whatever to the budget for the
I
library.
believe that's voting on an article that's already on the bill.
Right.
You can change an article that's already on there. Somebody can ask for an extra $8,000 and it gets added to it. But there's an article for the general fund and for the highway fund, right? So we're at the point where the first gate that the library needed to meet, the library/community center board, is here. And this is as soon as they got here, right? So my thought was that we would either vote to approve it as select board or not. Now, whether or not they go back to the petition mode, which they can't because it's the 15th, that option, that road's closed. So the persuasive option is to persuade the select board to put it on as an article.
Got it, okay.
So if somebody came to us next year and said, if the Putney Food Shelf came to us and said, we need $10,000 more to supply food to residents, and they're past the petition, the select board could decide to put it on.
Okay.
If they said they wanted $10,000 for something that we didn't want on there. And again, the select board's only putting it on the ballot. We're not approving it. So we're not saying that the town's going to agree to it or not.
Okay.
But the town still gets to vote on it.
As long as you're doing it the way you're supposed to be doing it, it's fine with you. Just
Right.
want to make
And
sure.
I understand. I'm the same way.
Mm.
I don't know all the rules all the time, but the board can put an article on if they want to.
Yeah, Todd brought up a good point. This isn't saying what should be done. This is saying should the voters get to make the decision on it. That's what we're requesting.
Does that all make sense? Yeah.
I wasn't planning on making a statement, so I still need to sign in. But I do just want to point out, like, it's kind of disrespectful to the people who did meet that deadline, did do the petition, to now say, okay, one team, like one facet couldn't get it together in time to meet the petition deadline, so they're coming in late. I mean, I support the library, I think it's wonderful, but I also support meeting your deadlines, because if you're planning to do something like this, you should know what those deadlines are. This isn't an emergency that came up after the fact. It's something that you knew was coming right along. As I don't know that it's fair. I realize that it is an option, but what's to say next year there's not going to be 8 different groups at this meeting saying, gosh, we just didn't meet the deadline. I think it sets a bad precedent going forward.
All right, thank you. Any other inputs? So, before we get to the articles, anybody have any questions on the proposal side of it, which is the background to the article?
The increasing the board to 7 or whatever members, and then depending on or relying on other folks. I mean, Randy and Lester and the other group from the community center have done a great job for 30 years or more. I don't know. I'm just concerned that the new people that are offering to step up will step up long term. You know, I mean, it's volunteering is tough, and I'm not against it. I just wonder if
we all face the same issue, but Randy and Lester deserve retirement.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
And they are very well aware of the challenges in attracting good volunteers. So what we're trying to do is just use the momentum that's been gathering from the past year or so and pushing that forward. But we're all experiencing issues with volunteerism. You are as a select board, we are as elected trustees,
sure.
Every committee. In fact, in the second week in February, Mike Murowicki is going to come here to talk about the importance of civic engagement, specifically for this reason. I mean, we have to tackle all of our local issues through volunteerism, and we're having a problem where people just aren't stepping up.
Geraldine.
So, Geraldine Wilson, I live up on Leonard Road. So I think it's pretty amazing that the library, Linda described sort of the transition of the library board feeling initially sort of hesitant, but having gained confidence over the last 6 or 8 months, to then step forward and say, gosh, we can do this. And I think it's because there's a lot of new energy, and it's been a magnet for people to step forward, not only people that support the library, but people that really want the community center piece to be a part of that. And it's helpful because the alternative is, or one of the alternatives is for the select board to find a committee of volunteers to keep this building going. So somebody's got to find the volunteers to do this if we're going to keep this building, and the library's offering to do that. So I just, it's kind of all in how you look at it.
And we've had dozens of people show up to these meetings who are, and they're kind of like long, boring meetings sometimes. And people show up to these meetings. So we have like a lot of people who are interested in helping. And like Geraldine mentioned, somebody has to do it. Some people are interested in doing it.
Maria?
So for the previous 2 meetings that we've held, select board meetings we've held, it was suggested that the select board form a community center building committee and appoint volunteers to that committee. So, and that would free up the library trustees to focus on the library. So all the people that you've gotten to volunteer for the committees that you've created in their proposal, why would they not come to the select board if we formed a committee?
I think that
we've come a long ways down this road of merging things together, getting rid of some of the problems, and I sincerely support this one organization to take care of the library and the community center and other things that are there. There's a kind of a ramp-up period in the time with the legalities of making that happen. This proposal, it doesn't talk about what you just mentioned. That's my main point is you've got the library trustees, they've got a track record of it, and they're, instead of trying to have it all resolved right away by town meeting, is there some interim structure that can run and work with the library, like you suggested, the committee, can the, I don't know, there's probably a lot of different ways to form that. But the overall committee, would have the library as a part of it, and plus another group or some groups that are maybe appointed for the first year. Because we've got some good talent and people that are really interested, and they kind of get almost locked out of this with the library board just taking the top leadership and the things they're going to do, the renaming and all that. I think there needs to be more people involved who show an interest in it and add to it. I don't know how you can do it legally, but a transition, we will get there. But you got to walk a little slowly as you move into it.
But that's exactly what I'm saying, is that the trustees don't have to change. The library doesn't have to change. They can stay focused on the library and all the programs. And that if the select board chooses to form a town committee, just like the planning commission, the energy committee, the select board can form that without jumping through all the hoops that the library is going to have to go through.
Yes.
And if you have all these volunteers, why would they not be enthusiastic to join a town, still joining a town committee?
You're suggesting form that group, a new group as discussed,
So real quick,
which will become the new organization. People transition into that.
Right. People might be interested in joining a group that is involved in the library, but not interested in just joining a building maintenance group. They could have different interests.
What would be the difference, though?
Exactly.
If I may, I think it's the coordination effort and administrative effort. So you could get somebody who's willing to show up with a can of paint and a paintbrush, but the mechanics of making that happen, financing the paint, coordinating the event, well, that's the administration thing. And what the library trustees have is experience in administration and governance, and that was the layer that we were volunteering to step up for. So yes, you could have your appointed committees, but you also need to have that layer of coordination and administration. So if you have people on tap for that task, I could see it working. But if you don't have people on tap for that task, things can fall apart pretty quickly.
So then why wouldn't, if you, I think that if I was reading this right, there's going to be like 5 committees, subcommittees.
Yeah.
So if the select board formed a community center committee, there's nothing to say that 1 or 2 of those library trustees couldn't be part of that committee.
Okay, I see what you're saying.
Mm-hmm.
So real quick, I'm gonna go online, just get some hands up. So Paul Normando, you have a question?
Yes, thank you. I was reading your minutes from last week, and I was under the impression from those minutes that the select board was going in the direction of having a committee that would be separate from the library. The library has to have a board of trustees, and if the board of trustees is responsible for the community center building, I'm concerned about that structure because the community building is a town building, and if this committee is part of the library trustees, then they're only responsible to the library trustees, and that leaves the select board out of the picture in terms of what happens and how that building will be run. So in my judgment, in my opinion, I'm totally in favor of what Maria was proposing, is having, and there's no reason why these members of that committee who were willing to do it for the library can't do it for the town. And if the library trustees want to have a member on that committee as a liaison, there's no problem with that. I just don't want to see the town abdicate its responsibility for the building, because the town owns that building, always has, and in my opinion, that's the way it should continue.
All right, thanks. I guess I would ask this question. I mean, the town did abdicate this building to a privately run nonprofit. So we have for 30 years abdicated this building.
Still on it.
I disagree. The select board has always been involved because when they had to have a ramp put in, and they had to apply when you had to apply for grants to you use the ARPA money in improving the building. That's all came on to the select board.
Right, and it still will.
Who knows?
So you think if they need a new roof for $30,000, they're not going to come to the select board and ask for it?
Oh, I'm sure they'll come, but I think it would be better to have a direct relationship with a committee, because you have the ultimate responsibility for that building.
All right, thanks. Ruth, you're up next.
Okay, so my concern, I mean, I tend to favor what Maria said, but my concern about the proposal, assuming it passes in town meeting and it says you can increase the trustees, that doesn't get you more trustees, because now this is just my reading, but under the statute, it says the trustees may fill by election any vacancies that occur. It does not seem to me that the statute provides for appointment in lieu of election to fill the trustee spots. So expanding the board in the first year without having elections appears to me not to get you any more people. You'd still have to just appoint, the trustees would have to appoint a committee.
I
don't think they have the authority to appoint trustees.
I believe that's true, but we can obviously look into that.
We've appointed somebody.
We've appointed somebody this year.
Yeah, I understand. Okay. We have for 20 years, but my understanding, been appointing trustees to fill the roles. Yeah. Even before my time. So the expansion of the board of trustees for this purpose is not required.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be done at all.
Yeah.
Because you're going to have subcommittees. So if you stay with 5 board of trustee members for the next year while you build these committees, there's no need to expand the board of trustees at all, appointment or election-wise. If they want to be expanded in the future, whatever process is in place to expand in the future, you have to go through. Mm-hmm. You can't just say we have 7, you have to go through whatever the process is.
Yeah, that's why we said the option to increase.
Right, so,
yeah.
So that, that can obviously be discussed. So real quick, that's Linda, right? Linda and Roger. Linda, you have a question? You're muted. There you go.
I have to disagree with Paul and with Maria's proposal. If the select board establishes a separate committee for the building, that's just setting up the same situation that we've always had. There will be the same conflicts and the same problem that we're trying to solve here by creating this new organization. I support the new idea. I think it's a much better way to allow this organization to continue and coordinate.
Dave.
Dave Shotland, East West Road. I just want to say this is a structure that if it doesn't work, we're not bound to for years on end, if it turns out that this new board structure is somehow unable to take care of the building, it's not like everyone is stuck with that setup for a decade. So I just want to remind people of that.
The payment of the plan, regardless of the structures, the payment bills will go through Chris Brown. Right, whoever that happens to be, he's going to say, here are bills that need to be paid. Chris Brown's going to pay them, the treasurer's going to pay them. So that'll be tracked by the select board on regular warrants, just like we do everything else. So,
by forming this new committee and trying to get like a library trustee on it, doesn't that inherently bridge that gap that you all have been facing with the community center by ensuring there's a trustee there representing obviously the library's best interest with that committee? Just putting that out there. It's not as divided as it has been.
Yep.
With that.
That's true. Geraldine, do you have something else?
Well, yeah, I wanted to follow up Linda's comment that because my husband Alex is one of the people that has stepped forward to join this building committee, and he said really clearly that he would be very pleased to do it under the auspices of the Dummerston Community Center and Library Board, but not under the select board, because he doesn't want to set up that same dynamic. And also the select board has a much wider range of issues and topics to deal with, and also are very a lot of energy is put into level funding taxes, and so he feels, I mean, I'm sorry to have to speak for him, he has a commitment to be somewhere else, but just the energy of the people that have been attracted to these meetings and to the library was very appealing to him. So he was somebody that stepped forward that, made that pretty clear.
Eliza?
Did he think that by not having the select board involved in the running of the building, that the town would then give more money to the library? You said it was something to do with finances, level funding?
Well, just that's the focus of a select board.
Right, but they would be anyway, because they're still funding the library one way or the other.
Right, it's true, but it's just a whole bigger tent to be under than the tent of the, part of the main activity that's happening in this building.
Maybe it could be a joint committee that had, instead of being that separate, maybe there could be a crossover by 3 members. I mean, it doesn't have to be,
right.
It doesn't have to be only the select board and only the library. It can be like almost a fused board, but you have a select board
committee. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So there's
and I think that's the goal here of everyone is better coordination, communication, and transparency. So how we get there, it seems like there's different options and different perceptions, but it sounds to me like it's for the same purpose.
So there's essentially 2 things on the table here, right? This is a 2-part issue. Set the article aside for a minute. The proposal is the first item. There's no point in voting on the article if 5 of us don't think that this proposal is going to fly. For us, that we want something different, right? Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So we can make a motion to vote on the proposal for the organization moving forward as proposed and see where that goes. And then talk to the next item, if that makes sense.
Sorry, no, I guess I'm not following.
It seems to me that the status quo is good right now, keep 5 members on the library board, but let them get this, and all of you, we're trying to do, Tom, get all this other folks together inform this and, make one group out of it and have it viable for, all the whole building and the library and everything else, but not go to your 7-member board right now.
So you're okay with the proposal, just not the 7-member board?
Right.
Okay, that's good.
I'll kind of give you background on that, because originally we just said, well, some people were saying, how about just 5? 5 is fine. Lyle brought it up specifically saying, like, we might need 7. We might find over time, over the next year, we do need 7. That's why we stressed making it an option. That it wouldn't have to be immediate. It would be up to the board, the new board, if they felt it was necessary.
Right, but if we agree to this proposal at this point of 5 or 7, you inadvertently can go to 7 immediately, and I don't know if that's good or bad. I'm just making a point that it's not clear.
I think also Tom, correct me if I'm wrong, but also the desire to put 7 adding 2 people was a nod to the Dummerston Community Center.
That's where it started. When we first started talking about a year ago.
Right.
I think
that it wasn't just the library continuing and taking this on, but really the library board was making room for community center focus within its trustees. And so that felt right to the group of 30 people that were sitting around discussing this. And I think one of the things that I'm a little confused about is, why is there such energy to keep the building maintenance within the select board when the library trustees are feeling confident and have people stepping forward already to take it on? As Dave said, if that doesn't work, we can change that. There was a lot of work in those meetings and Randy, you could say something along these lines too. There was a lot of I don't know if I could be so bold as to say healing, I mean, there were some really personal exchanges that happened in those meetings that helped me, as somebody that's lived here for 40 years, kind of feel like we were moving forward beyond the tension that has been ever since the beginning of community center and library, regardless of who the staff were. And so I feel like putting this to the town, to say, would you authorize the Lydia Taft Pratt Library trustees to change the name of the library to the Dummerston Community Center and Library is such a statement of moving forward.
But I thought we just said that you couldn't go to 7.
No, just make it 5. It doesn't.
Okay, but you were just
change it
you were
to
just
make it
talking
5.
about how important the 7 was.
No, I'm not saying
You're
that.
not.
I'm not saying that.
No, we initially
it's
said
fine
we might
with
need
5.
more help because it's a lot of work, and that's where that came from.
But if you had the input of 2 or 3 people appointed from the select board that were on that committee, wouldn't that help solve the problem?
It would.
That's not what was being proposed, though. The other proposal was a separate 5-person group that was totally separate from the library. That's not what.
That's not really what Maria said. She was just talking about a committee. A committee. Well, I mean, if your committee is 3 people that you're adding to the library joint committee, then it's not really separate.
That's not what was being the other proposal.
Yeah, there's not a library joint committee. That doesn't exist.
It would be a totally separate group.
Library, so there's,
Just
to your point earlier about regulations and
So-
so on, statutes.
Let me summarize here. I think where we're at is there's going to be a group of people, not board of trustees people, not appointed people, just somebody like, I don't want to use his name on camera, like Lou Tyke, who knows how to fix stuff. And maybe Lou says, sorry Lou, maybe Lou says, hey, I can help you with the building. I can do windows, I can replace railings, I can do stairs. There's somebody else who goes, hey, I'll do the scheduling. I'll answer the emails. I'll do the website. I'll keep the calendar up to date. Someone else who pays the bills, make sure the lawn gets mowed and don't have to plow. So we have this group of people, these 8 or 10 people who are very interested in helping with this building in whatever form it's going to be. None of those people are board of trustee members. None of those people are appointed by select board. They're just volunteers who want to help. And there's a lot of people in town who want to help but don't want the burden of being appointed or running for election or whatever. So you have that group of 8 or 10 people. How do you tap into them? You have to have an organization because somebody has to run the show to call my construction guys, to call my maintenance guys, to call my finance guys. Where do those people reside? Do they reside under the board of trustees of the library, the 5, or do they reside under a group that's been appointed by the select board, like the Conservation Commission or any other thing we have, so you can just appoint people as you need them. But those appointed people aren't those 8 or 10 people. Those 8 or 10 people don't want to be appointed. So we have those 8 or 10, we need to grab them and have them do the work that they want to do. So what we're deciding is where we're going to put them. And if we want to put them with the board of trustees, we will. If we don't, then we'll have to come up with another option. Right now, I'm doing the scheduling for this building.
That's really
This stuff has to be done. Bills have to be paid. And Randy's still paying the bills because until the end of this fiscal year, he's the money guy. So we have a catch all of people that we need to move forward with. And so, does it make sense that we're taking that energetic group of volunteers and figuring out where we're going to put them? Does that seem like what we're discussing? It's just a matter of
more or less. It just says who's going to be responsible for having to administer that. The library trustees are saying we can take that. Right. Otherwise, the select board.
The other selection is something else has to be created. That's right. And the expansion of the board of trustees can be taken out, so we don't even have to worry about that. I think as we move forward, we can say remove the optional 7 and just leave it as it is in whatever motion you go with.
Because because it's just a separate concern.
So the 2 part of things I was talking about is this, yes or no, and pending the outcome of that, this, yes or no. Because if there's no point in voting on an article to get added if we don't agree on the proposal. Is that right?
That's correct.
Yeah.
I mean, to have an article is to say, let the town decide, let the voters decide if this is good. I would figure the first step is us saying, is this within the realm of being a reasonable question for the town to decide?
The proposal.
Yeah, is this reasonable? Not is this 100% what I want to vote on?
Right.
It's saying like, is this an okay thing for the town to vote on? That's
what's your position on this?
Well, let me back up to a comment that 2 library trustees just made.
Right.
They both said that if this doesn't work in a year from now, they'll figure something else out. And that figure something else out is going to get dumped back onto the select board.
That's right.
So why not start with the select board that can appoint a town committee to run this building?
Right.
And that might include library trustees. But if you get halfway through the year and you decide this isn't working, it's coming back to us anyway. And you both just said that you both made that comment.
We did. And the other thing, and the tack on to that is we're volunteering to step up to do this administrative work because of the spirit of what could happen inside this building, not the building, not the 4 walls, but the spirit of community that actually happens inside this building. We want, as I said, a place for town people to come and feel welcome and not feel obligated to buy something, a free place where people can gather and interact and engage in activities. We have a recreation board.
Right.
Just scratching my head going, well, why isn't this recreation? It's all of it. And what the library trustees, what we were offering, aside from our volunteerism, was our experience with programming and events and bringing people into the building. And then,
but you could still join a committee if the select board formed that committee. And I would hope that all of the people that have been going to these meetings, that as trustees of the library, you would encourage them to come forward to the select board and volunteer for that town committee.
Maria, why would you prefer it be a select board appointed committee versus?
Because the town owns this building. And the trustees are their own entity.
Well,
That don't actually have to answer to the select board.
we're an elected board, they're an elected board
Exactly,
of this town.
right. So, and as an elected official, they don't have to answer to us.
They have to answer to the people.
Exactly.
So just
That's my point.
as brought up before,
Yeah.
Randy, who's Randy answering to? All
They
these
were their
years.
own organization, same thing.
Right, but it was the same building. So they were their own organization. They didn't answer to us for anything. So we haven't had that in the past. They've had control of the building. We gave it to them and said, "You guys run it." Obviously, there were things that came up, ARPA money, which was fortunate. Things that had to happen, but we did turn it over. So I'm not disagree with them. I'm saying there's not a sea change here. We'd given up the building before to somebody else, and now essentially we're still giving it up to someone else to run.
But this would not be giving it up, that's the thing. This would be having a part of the elected town board.
Board trustees are elected by the town. I understand.
Right, and
Well, it's an important distinction.
Yeah, you're right. I agree.
yeah, one more thing I'd like to add to that since you brought up ARPA, is that having library as part of the governance opens us up to grant opportunities, and there's a HUD grant out there for preservation of public libraries up to $400,000 to do preservation of the building and modernize the building in terms of heating and restaurants and things like that. So there are grant opportunities out there by allowing library trustee governance to be part of this equation.
All right. Ruth, you have your hand up one more time.
Yes. Just going back to the point about approving expenses and who reports to who. Right now, this is speaking as town auditor. The elected library board meets and approves a warrant to pay their bills that they've approved, and then that request for writing the checks goes to the treasurer. But none of those items come to the select board and have to be looked at by the select board. And I'm concerned about there was some sort of joining up of who's going to approve. Now, they don't approve community center expenses because they haven't been in charge of those. But I think that it's not the correct path if the library trustees are not doing their work as approving all the library expenses, which is what we've always done in town. They have their own warrants that come to the meetings that they sign, and then the treasurer prepares the checks that they've approved the expenses of. But it doesn't come to the select board for the library expenses.
That's right. And in theory, would that change? Because
I thought I heard yes.
No, that's for the community center side of it.
Oh, just that side.
Yeah, so I think the board of trustees, would still just their operating budget for paying the librarian, the taxes, the internet, the printers, the computers, that would all still stay the same way.
Buying the books, whatever they do, their supplies.
Right. But the other side of it, the paying the electricity, filling the propane, that money would sit in a fund that Chris has control over, and they would ask, we don't know would say, we need to pay a propane bill, here's a propane bill. Chris would then put it on the warrant and we would pay it.
Okay, I didn't correctly understand how you were separating out the community center only expenses. I think that's correct.
That's just how I foresee it. So
we're in a position that. Okay, go ahead.
So Maria, with your plan of the select board having a committee that takes care of the building, does that include also the rentals?
The committee would take care of
the rentals.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which
so then you'd have both groups.
Now.
You'd have both groups on one calendar.
I mean both groups.
Well, both the library, who has programming and uses space, and then rentals that uses space. And so it's the same building, and so both groups would be coordinating their activities
That's why
together.
I would think that if the select board chooses to form a committee, a town committee, that there would be members on that committee from the library trustees.
There could be.
Yeah.
Doesn't have to be.
It doesn't have to be,
Yeah.
but I would assume that it would certainly make things
increase
smoother.
communication
Yes.
and coordination, for
Right.
sure.
But it would also allow the library trustees to run the library, and should be your main focus.
You're just not trusting that they can do it. I can see that. You're not trusting that they're...
No, I think that...
you're sort of operating out of the fear that it's gonna fail. When they're saying...
They already said that in a year, if this doesn't work out,
No,
they're
I
gonna
think-
hand it back to us anyway.
No, I think Dave
They
was
both said
saying it's nothing is cast in stone. I
Right.
mean, it might not work for you guys either.
Exactly, right.
So...
Yeah.
And who does it go back to?
Well, I look at
Yeah.
gift horse in the
Yeah.
face. I don't know.
So this is just like not out of the blue, but I don't want to make it sound a little strange, but why does the library have to have jurisdiction over the building itself? Shouldn't there just be like a separate entity, like a different board inside the town itself that just runs just the building?
That's what we had.
Just like
we had
like
that.
a property
We had that
manager.
for 30 or 40
Yeah.
years.
But it wasn't.
So like you have like a property.
It wasn't a town organization.
Right.
So it was a private organization.
And they also
Yeah, so-
paid all the bills
And they paid
too.
all of it.
So they
So it's almost like
rented,
an apartment complex, where you're
Right.
just like they're just paying a fee to be in the building.
and they did, and the library, when they moved in, the town gave them X amount of money and they used some of it for rent. But it isn't the same as what's going on now, which is where the town is actually paying for the upkeep of the building, no matter who's in here. If the library decided to move out tomorrow, the town has still committed to paying for the building. So it is a different structure than it was. It's not the same as handing it over to anybody else.
The town's always been financially responsible for the building.
Over and above, but not the operating expenses. Things like a roof, yes. But,
I mean, the rent that we paid to it was funding most of the building.
well, but it could have been anybody paying the rent. It just happened to be that a town library that got X amount of money from the town chose to come here and use that money to pay their rent. But it could have been another entity.
The only difference being is that library's rent was paid for by Dummerston taxpayers.
Right, well, yes, that's true, but it wasn't that the town of Dummerston was, you could have chosen to go to another building and use that same money for the rent in another building. The town gave the library X amount of money and the library used it for rent. If you'd had somebody offer their house down the road and you decided that was better, you would have gone there and used that money there. And this building could have been rented if they found someone else that would have rented it for that amount of money.
And we had renters in that one room for years.
Right.
Yeah.
Just to supplement the income.
So it was a different arrangement.
Right. And we also wanted to bring the spirit back to being open to everybody. When that room was being rented to a private entity, that was not a community-based,
Right.
it was a private business. It was not a community-based operation. And so part of the reasons why we're talking about rentals in this context is because we're talking about having the entire building open to everybody and not having private businesses. And so the public library is public.
Well, no, I was just
Yeah.
talking about the different structure that had been here before.
Right.
It wasn't the same as,
Yeah.
All right, so you want to make a motion?
How exactly do you want to do this? Because my goal here was to have an article.
We can't do the article unless we agree, as a majority of the board agrees to turn it over to the board of trustees.
Yeah, I think we've got to do the proposal
You have
first.
to do the
I mean,
first, because that doesn't pass, there's no point in having that.
that's what the select board
Well,
asked
then,
for.
my proposal would be this. Shall we?
Right,
So, I move that we allow the Lydia Taft Pratt Library to change its name to the Dummerston Community Center and Library and take on the responsibilities of managing the building.
All right. I'll second that so we can vote on it. Further discussion? All right. Paul, can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you.
You look tired, dude.
No.
All right, so
All those in favor of changing the name of the Dummerston Community Center and Randy Capratt Library to the Dummerston Community Center and Library, and turning over the management of the building to the Board of Trustees, say aye. Aye. All those against?
Aye. Or nay?
You say nay.
Nay.
That's still better.
Paul, I didn't hear you.
I said, let it be proposed to the town. Let the town vote on it.
That's what the motion would be for.
That's what this is for, is to let the town vote on it.
Right.
So you either yay or nay or you abstain.
Yay.
Okay, so 3-2.
Now the second part is the article.
So
The article is to, excuse me, but the article is to let the town vote on it. This was not, the proposal was not for the town to vote on, was it?
No.
That was, that right.
It's confusing. It's the first step.
It is confusing. The way Todd said it was, the proposal was for the town to vote on it.
So if the proposal had lost, there would be any reason to do the article.
Right.
So now I move that we add this article, and shall I read the whole article?
Sure.
I move that we add this article to our list of articles. Shall the voters authorize the Lydia Taft Pratt Library trustees to change the name of the library to the Dummerston Community Center and Library, reflecting the merger of the Dummerston Community Center and the library, and give trustees the option to increase the number of trustees from 5 to 7?
Do we want to cross that out?
Should I take?
Yes.
I'm sorry.
I would just cross that out.
So the whole, I'll just stop at library.
Yes.
Okay, sorry about that.
That's all right.
All right, I move that we add the following article to our list of articles. Shall the voters authorize the Lydia Taft Pratt Library trustees to change the name of the library to the Dummerston Community Center and Library, reflecting the merger of the Dummerston Community Center and Library?
All right. I'll second it. Discussion on that.
So if we approve this, all it's doing is changing the name, basically. And the fact it's not
Reflecting the
changing.
merger, reflecting the merger.
Right, reflecting the merger.
You're just supporting the town to vote at town meeting.
That's right.
You're not,
Right,
you're
right,
saying,
exactly.
yeah,
So I
we
just
think
wanted
this
to
is a
be
good
clear.
idea.
Yeah.
We think this is a good idea.
I
They're
just
not
wanted to
gonna
be clear.
tomorrow change
This
their
vote is to
name.
allow people to vote at town
Yeah.
meeting,
Yes.
yes or no.
Yeah.
That's it.
I'm not disagreeing with the vote. Basically, all I'm thinking is if the library has basically the ability to choose, like, let's just say the community center and the library are together, don't they have the best interest of the library over the building itself? So why would you put the library in charge of the
Well,
of
that's
building?
library.
You know what I mean? So like, let's just say you get a certain amount of funding, you would just not allocate it to the building over like stuff for the library or for your own pay.
The way-
You know what I mean? So like, why would
The way
you?
the budget is set up is the maintenance of the building is a separate line item
Yeah.
that's controlled by us.
Okay.
They'll tell us when bills need to be paid.
Yeah.
We'll get a warrant, we'll look at it and go, yes, that's appropriate bill. If they're not paying their bills, we're gonna say something.
That's all I was worried
Yeah.
about. Is just like if you have a library and you're like, I'd rather get paid than fix the plumbing.
Sure. Or
You know what I mean?
10,000 more bucks. No,
They don't get paid.
So does this still allow the select board to work with the library trustees and talk about a board sort of thing? No, it doesn't allow you to set up a board? Why not?
You mean a committee?
A committee.
A committee, I mean. Why doesn't it? Because you haven't voted on the does it?
No,
No, it doesn't.
it just passed that the majority of the board is in favor of their proposal.
Is in favor of letting people vote. It's confusing.
Wait,
Yeah, hang on, go ahead, Jody.
what's gonna be voted?
I just have a question.
Sure.
Could you read that, the first lines again? Is it the Dummerston Community Center and Library, or the Dummerston Community Center Library?
I'll read it in just a sec. When I'll second the motion.
I misspoke.
So I'm just gonna second this, we're not voting yet, and then still can discuss. I seconded adding the proposed article. It says, shall the voters authorize the Lydia Taft Pratt Library trustees to change the name of the library to the Dummerston Community Center and Library, reflecting the merger of the Dummerston Community Center and the library. You still there, Jody?
Yes, I'm still here. Thank you.
Okay, sure.
Eliza.
So this is what will be the article.
That will
The
be
article doesn't say anything about who has responsibility for anything.
Right. That's true.
As far as like what committee will take place with that. So
Does it say-
Ruth brought up a good point that in the town report, it would be very good to include this
So
long amount of text so people have questions like, well, how will this be done? How will this
So
be done?
you guys have approved this that says that the trustees will run this building. Is that right?
And we're voting now to put it to the town to vote yes or no.
You're voting this whole thing as the article or
No,
just this?
just the first
Well,
item.
this only talks about the change of the name. It doesn't
That's-
talk
that's-
about.
It says merger of.
Those are details. just
Merger,
something to
but the
work
merger doesn't mean that you can't have, a merger can have, appointed committee members from the town and committee members from, you're not setting the structure in stone, right? You're only changing the name and saying there's a merged
The two organizations.
entity.
What
It
used to be the
doesn't
two
say
organizations
about,
are now one.
right, but it doesn't say how you're actually governing it.
I'm
So-
not governing that.
No, you haven't said, it's not cast in stone, correct? How it's being governed? So the select board could say, for the $16,000 that we are supporting the building, we want to have a committee with 3 appointed, select board members, correct?
For me sitting here, I don't want to have that.
Well, I mean,
I don't need.
but that's up to you.
committees
Do you
appointed by
have
400
you
people.
have a choice of doing that, correct?
Not now,
No.
because we've decided that we're going to do what's in the proposal that we just voted on. They're going to have an organization that's going to have people doing all these things.
So what you just brought up as a concern means that this library committee will have control over the
building itself. And therefore, if they decide to use funds, like, basically how, and they're choosing, not the town's choosing.
The library board trustees do not have the $16,000 to run the building. It's not in their budget. They have no control over it. All they're going to tell us is what bills need to be paid. And then those bills will be paid. So the library, whoever this organization is not going to go, Chris Brown, that $16,000 budget line item that's under control of the select board, give us $8,000 just because we told you to. That's not going to happen. It's a separate budget item. They can't-
No. That's not what I was concerned about. I'm just saying that the people running the library don't necessarily know about building maintenance.
Right, but they have a bunch of people who do. So again, remember earlier, we have 8 or 10 people who are willing to
One of them just walked in.
One of them just walked in who are interested in doing the building management, that are experts and professionals and hobbyists.
So what happens if it, as you say, if it doesn't work out in a year, you said you could restructure it, would the town have any say as to the restructuring? Why? Why do you say yes, though? If you just said no, that they didn't, because of how they voted, why would they in a year then have any options?
The underlying goal of both the select board and the library trustees is better communication, better coordination, and transparency. And I trust that that's true. I trust that, tell me your name?
Kyle.
Kyle. So Kyle, I think that a lot of it does come down to trust, and trust comes from being at the table together and hearing different people talk and understanding their motives and intentions. And there is an incredible amount of positive energy around the library and some hardworking people who are being a magnet to new people in town and people who haven't been involved. And I'm really excited about that. So I'm wanting to convey that trust and positive energy to help this to be successful.
So down the road, say 10 years down the road, because the community center worked very well for years and years and years until it didn't. So down the road, then a future select board could step in at some point and say, this isn't working.
Next year, the select board could.
Well,
And the people-
yeah, but next year's not gonna happen because there is that
I don't
energy.
know. I mean, we can't
No.
project 10 years out in the future.
I know,
I mean,
but I'm
that's-
just saying you haven't committed yourself to.
Well, that's what
Forever.
Dave said.
Right.
This isn't anything that can't be reconfigured. That's the one thing we can depend on is change.
Right, but the select board just said that they have given up the ability to have any say right now
And what?
in the running of this board or the running of the building.
Never said that. Where does it say that? Where does it say the
Sorry,
select board is
I guess I'm
advocating-
confused.
Well, no, where does it say the select board's advocating
If the
responsibility?
townspeople vote yes.
Yeah, the town is.
We're
deciding-
saying
not making
townspeople,
decisions.
do you approve of this? And if the townspeople say no,
Then it doesn't happen.
that's the big thing.
Yeah, but all you're having them vote on is just this name.
No, but this will be in
And
it.
the
It'll
merger.
say, you know, I mean, Ruth,
I don't understand, this is what's gonna be that?
Ruth said that this can be in another part of the
This,
town report.
for
It could be
clarity,
in a town-
I added this so that people could look at it in case they had questions. This is the
This is the article, this is what could be written for people to read.
details in case people have questions.
But,
Yeah.
but this isn't what people are voting on,
Correct.
right, but
Up
this is what,
top, this stuff
right.
is what people
So
will be
all they're
voting.
voting on is the name change.
These are
and-
ideas in case people obviously will have questions.
Right, but what if they don't like this part and they do like the name change?
And the merger.
And the merger.
And-
It
but
says
then-
and merger.
Yes, and the merger, but they don't
They
like
can
the
talk to their elected
structure.
trustees.
Yeah,
For one
and their select board members, because the two boards are gonna work together.
So what will the library trustees be called? Because you're
The
gonna, are you dissolving
Dummerston Community Center and Library.
trustees?
Yes.
Correct.
So you are actually going to dissolve the Lydia Taft Pratt Library,
Rename.
Changing their name.
Rename.
but you're still gonna be trustees of the community center and the library. So you are your own entity. So any bills will not come to the select board on warrants. They will be paid through the current system.
Well, that was the idea, yeah.
Right, so we have lost control.
All right.
Yeah.
Right, but I was gonna go to Tahiti, but now that I hear all your concerns, I'm gonna do that.
So there's an easy way to
No,
stop that. So I make a motion, oh, we already have a motion.
We already have the
Tom
motion.
already made a
seconded.
motion.
Yeah.
So the motion's already been made, discussion's been had. So all those in favor of adding an article saying, shall the voters authorize the Lydia Taft Pratt Library trustees?
Todd,
Yes,
I have a financial question.
go ahead.
Why is it that part of the library expenses or part of the community expenses go to the select board with your warrants, whereas another part goes to Chris? I mean, everything else, all your other committees, all your other organizations come to your warrants.
Because I believe they're an elected board.
When an elected
So the
board
process
approves
is-
their warrants.
Is that true?
When an elected board approves their warrants, they don't need another elected board to approve them.
Well, that really doesn't seem quite financially good for the select board to do that, but that's my opinion. Thank you.
All right, that's existing stature, and if we want to change that, then we can vote to change that. Paul, can you hear us?
Yes.
So, okay, so all in favor of adding a proposed article saying, shall the voters authorize the Lydia Taft Pratt Library Board of Trustees to change the name of the library to the Dummerston Community Center and Library, and reflecting the merger of the community center and the library, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those against?
Nay.
Nay.
Paul, we still can't hear you, dude.
Can you hear him now?
I can hear you.
Okay,
How's he voting?
I say aye.
All right, so 3-2.
All right, so now we can move on to the town meeting warning. We'll have to add, what article are we at?
14, I
Just
think.
go before the all others. I think it'll become 13, right?
Yeah, we should go before the last one.
Where's the,
So we need to sign this, so how are we going to type it with the changes that were just made?
You just take out everything after Where it says "and give the trustees," we cut that out. And that could-
There's a part below too, Tom, where it says that. There's a part below where it says the 5 and 7s.
That's in the details. We're talking about just the art. So where it's from "and give," all again, we cut that out.
So I think it'll become Article 15. Is that right? And then 15 will move to 16, which is all
No,
others?
it would actually go before, it would become Article 13.
Article 13. So 13 becomes 14. 14 becomes 15. 15 becomes 16. And 13 is the library. All right. So we're at approving the town meeting warning. So can we vote to approve it pending the addition of Article 13 and the printing of it? Maria?
Yes, unless we want to have a special town meeting, or a special meeting.
No, I don't want to have a special meeting.
Yeah.
So
we would have to come in and sign it though.
We'd have to come in and sign it.
Mm-hmm.
But it can be at Laura's desk the next couple days.
Yeah.
All right. So I'll make
I'll be in tomorrow.
Okay. Well, if you weren't here, you weren't going to sign it anyway. Do all 5 of us need to sign it?
We should.
Okay. So I'll make a motion, we approve and sign the 2026 town meeting warning after the inclusion of Article 13, which will read.
Shall the vote?
We'll append it to it.
Okay.
Or Maria, are you going to retype it, or do you want me to, or do you want Laura to? How do you want to do it?
I have it, but you made changes, so I'm gonna have to redo it.
Do you want me to give you this?
He's got the scratch.
Oh, no, I have it on here.
Okay.
I just scratched off the last of it, so.
All right.
But we shouldn't sign it unless it's a completed document.
Right. So I'll make a motion that with the addition of Article 13 for the library, that we approve the town meeting warrant for the FY26 town meeting, and we will sign in the next 2 days at the town office.
Second it.
Paul seconded. I couldn't hear him before, now I hear him, I can't hear him. All right, any further discussion? All right, all those in favor of approving the 2026 town meeting warning with Article 13 change, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those against?
Yay.
So 4 and 1. All right. The last thing.
So I will retype this and I'll email it over to Lori, she can print it out and we can all.
Stop and sign it.
Yeah.
All right. That's the end of the new business aside from appointees for the rec board and DRB alternate. Do you mind talking while you're here? Come on.
No, I don't mind.
Yeah, come on
I don't
up.
want to talk.
So Kyle and Priscilla, you're online. We're gonna talk to Kyle here real quick, and then we can sit. It's casual. We're nice.
Stand for the camera.
And our 2 DRB folks here? I don't see them. All right. So Kyle, so introduce yourself for those of us who don't know you.
I'm Kyle Paquette. I moved into town about 2.5 years ago in 2023.
So I'm gonna note that I'm gonna abstain. Because Kyle's my future son-in-law.
All right. Congratulations.
So me and Teresa have been together for 3 years now.
Quite a while.
Yeah, a little bit. Essentially, I've been coming to the DRB meetings. Those have been majority of what I've actually been to in town. As far as like actual, like, I haven't been to a select board meeting specifically. I've only been to the DRB meetings, so I felt like I was like the most qualified to essentially participate in. You know? I've been to about 5 meetings so far, and they always ask every single time, "Are you guys looking for volunteers?" And no one raises their hand. No one wants to volunteer, so I just assume to put my name in and make sure something gets, like the positions get filled.
All right, sounds good. Do you have any background doing any of that kind of stuff?
So as far as like actual zoning?
Zoning or, yeah, yeah.
So, I mean, I was in the National Guard for 9 years. I did combat engineering, which is essentially like
Prime beef, I know what it is.
You know what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. So essentially, it's like infantry with explosives. But I was a sergeant, so I directed people, so I know how to like essentially command and control an area. Know how to get a point across or try to do a simple explanation. I pretty much go through, at least for me, I read absolutely everything. So I already did the liberty of downloading all the documents off of the Dummerston website, and I decided to go through all the zoning bylaws and read into it, and I'm just kind of interested in it, so it just makes it that much easier to but put myself in for that position as an alternate.
All right. I like it. Questions from people? For some reason I lost the meeting.
You answered pretty much all my questions except for the, can you be impartial when it comes to, if your neighbor's got an issue and you're on DRD, how you gonna figure with the neighbor? You're gonna,
Well, that'd be a conflict of interest, so you have to recuse yourself, right?
Yep.
Yeah, very good.
I don't know that your neighbor is a conflict of interest specifically.
I think it says it is.
You're talking about your own zoning that affects yourself.
So is it just considered neighbors of butters, or is it just anybody?
I think
It would just be
legally it's a
butters.
butter is usually.
Just be a butter, I think.
Yeah, so anybody abutting a property would have to be, you just abstain.
Yeah.
Or if you've been friends with them for 12 years or something.
Well, that's part of a small town.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody's a neighbor.
We all butt each other.
Yeah.
All right, any other questions? All right, thanks, man.
No problem. Sorry, your name?
Thanks for your work.
Sorry,
I was in there
a
for
meeting for.
Sorry, your name?
Todd.
Todd. Nice to meet you, Todd.
Todd.
Yeah.
I'm usually Todd, Tom, Skip,
Yeah.
Mom.
Yeah.
I don't know what you call it.
Nice to meet you. Glad to see you.
It's good to meet you.
Nice to meet you as well.
Appreciate it, yeah. I'm not answering my phone. All right, thanks. We'll have a quick chat. Priscilla.
Yes,
I'm gonna recuse the
he's stepping out of the way.
I don't think you're recusing yourself if you just turn the camera. So, Priscilla, give us your background.
Interested. I've actually been on a zoning board of appeals in Tallinn for over 10 years. I was their vice chair and their chair. I beat out my rival by one vote. They never say one vote doesn't count, but it does. So, but it was a really congenial group. And I learned an awful lot about zoning and planning and all of those things that are necessary. I just figured I could put my back experience to work here as well.
All right.
I'd be very interested. I'm a consultant for the VA in DC right now, but also I have a master's in business administration and healthcare. I think zoning is really important, especially in a small town where things could change quickly with the wrong policies, and I would really like to be a part of helping out. Plus, I have known Alan McBain for years and years and years. Our families have been very close over the years. So anyway, I just think I could add some expertise to the board. So.
All right. Questions for Priscilla? Anyone?
Any questions?
I know we've met her before.
Yeah.
Anything?
I'll do the same thing, just, impartial, and
Will you be impartial when you're having a fight with Paul?
Oh, yeah, I always win. Why?
Don't they always?
No, it's interesting because we don't have any neighbors per se where we are. We have 25 acres, and I think the closest neighbor is across East West Road up the hill. And the only reason I know they're there is when their light is on at night. So
Now it's getting creepy.
But I don't see that would be an issue. I've also been a regulatory person for the VA for many years, and ethics is kind of my background. So conflict of interest is not something I'm unfamiliar with. So
all right.
I think I could deal with it.
Any other questions from anybody? All right, we're good. Thank you. All right, so who are you?
I'm listening.
Unfortunately, not, you know.
I didn't know if are you here for the rec board?
No.
Okay, so our rec board people didn't make it, so we'll move them to the next agenda. I did email them today. One of them was going to show up, but the snow probably ended that discussion. All right, so Paul and Maria are sort of out here, so it's the three of us to make motions. So let's just take them in order. So I'll make a motion. We appoint Kyle, last name again? Paquette to the DRB as an alternate.
Second.
All right, any further discussion? All right, so all those in favor of appointing Kyle to the DRB alternate position, say aye. Aye. All those against?
I'm
Paul?
abstaining.
You're abstaining. Paul, your vote?
I'm abstaining.
Oh, that's right. Well, that's true. I guess you abstain both ways. So 3 with 2 abstentions?
Mhm.
All right, so we're done here. So
all three of you voted yes?
yes, we all
Okay.
did. So it's 3 with 2 abstentions.
Okay.
So you're the guy.
Okay.
Sorry, Priscilla, but the planning commission needs your expertise.
Yep, that's true.
But thanks for volunteering, Kyle. The more people we could bring in, the better.
Yeah, it's good.
So if you don't like it, just let Alan know or someone else.
It is a 1-year alternate.
That's okay.
Yep.
And we don't know. I think Alan's not sure who's staying on the board, so they'll have to figure out what openings are available, who's going to shuffle around. Who knows where you leave?
As you know, I have time.
Yeah. Right. Okay, great. Thanks a lot. All right. I'll send a letter to Alan and to you and the select board, just letting everybody know that it's been done. And then Alan will coordinate with you for whatever the next meeting is. I think it's on February 10th or whatever, 11th. All right. Okay, what's left on the agenda? Next meeting is February 11th at 6 p.m. We should be in the town office. I think that's it. And we'll all stop in the next 2 days. Lori, if you'll let us know when it's printed, we'll stop in and sign the town meeting warning.
Todd,
Yes.
in the town report from last year or the papers I'm getting ready for this year, it says there are 2 alternate vacancies for the DRB. Is that incorrect?
That's now incorrect. We've appointed 2. So they're full.
I thought you said you couldn't fill it. I lost track of what was going on.
Right. So the DRB is full up,
Yes.
including alternates.
Yes, they are.
No,
Okay,
what I'm saying is Alan McBean had talked about the fact that he doesn't know after town meeting with the terms that are up, whether those people are going to want to be appointed again. We just don't know that yet. But for now, there's
Right. You appointed 2 alternates.
2 alternates, yes.
Okay.
Hey, Todd, I have a question also. This
Yep.
is Gail.
Yep.
Why is your meeting February 11th? That's 3 weeks from today, as opposed to 2 weeks.
That's what it says on the agenda, and I'm a monkey.
That's a typo then.
February
So it'll be
February
February
4th.
4th. Is it? Okay. Yeah, it's a
February
typo.
4th, which is good.
Thank you.
The 11th is
Thank
my
you.
birthday. I don't want to be here with you all. Nothing personal. All right.
You had a long meeting.
Yeah, that's all right. All right, so I'll make a motion. We adjourn,
I'll second it.
and we are adjourned.